Yesterday we learned the basics of what equivalent fractions are, and as a reminder, they're just fractions that are equal to each other, but they might have different numerators and denominators. Today I'm going to go into a little more detail about equivalent fractions and how you can find different ones. When doing equivalent fractions, there's two important kinds that we want to be aware of, and that's fractions that equal to 1 and fractions that equal to 1/2. So if we look at our example of pizzas again, and I know it's always pizza, but I think it's easy to visualize what I'm talking about when I'm talking about pizza. If we have two pizzas that are the exact same size, and one is cut into 4 pieces, and one is cut into 8 pieces, there's still the same amount of pizza there because they are the exact same size pizza. Let's say they're both medium pizzas from the same place. Just this one's cut into bigger pieces, and this one's cut into smaller ones. If you were to eat all 4 of these pieces, you would have eaten 4 pieces out of 4 total, 4/4. This is a fraction that's equal to 1 because if you look at this pizza, you ate the whole thing. You ate one whole pizza. And a good way to notice when a fraction is equal to 1 is your numerator is going to be the same as your denominator. So this equals 1. Now, a same size pizza, but cut into 8 pieces. If you ate all 8 of them, I'm just going to color them in real quick, you would have eaten 8 pieces out of 8 total, 8/8. You ate the whole thing, one whole pizza, and our numerator is the same as the denominator, so it's equal to 1. So these two pizzas are equal to each other. They're equivalent. 4/4 is equal to 8/8 because they both equal 1. And 1 is the same thing as 1, right? Another type of fraction we want to be aware of are fractions that equal to 1/2. And to explain that, I'm going to use pizzas again. So we have the same pizzas from up here. But this time I'm going to show you what it means to have a fraction that's equal to 1/2. So when you have half of something, that means you break it into 2 pieces and they're the exact same size. So if I were to eat half of this pizza, I would be able to split it in half into 2 pieces, and they should be the same size. So if I eat these 2 pieces, that's the same size as these 2 pieces. So this is half. I've eaten 2 pieces out of 4 total, 2/4. This is equal to 1/2. And a way you can figure out if a fraction equals to 1/2 is to divide your numerator and your denominator by 2. So if I were to divide 2 divided by 2, I'm just going to show it up here real quick. 2 divided by 2. That means I have 2 groups, and I'm going to count up to 2. 1, 2. How many are in each group? 1. So 2 divided by 2 equals 1. Now I want to do 4 divided by 2. I have 2 groups. I'm going to count up to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 divided by 2 equals 2. Look at that. I made the fraction 1/2. So if we look at this one over here, if I were to eat half of this, that's 4 pieces out of 8 total. And it should equal to 1/2, and I'm going to check that real quick. We just did 4 divided by 2 over here, so I know that this equals 2. 8 divided by 2, if I were to count by 2's up to 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, it took 4 tries, or 4 numbers. So it's equals to 2/4. And I just figured out that 2/4 equals 1/2. If I were to divide that by 2 again. So both of these equal 1/2. Now sometimes dividing the numbers by 2 until you get down to 1/2 can take a while. There's another trick that you can do to check and see if your fraction is equal to 1/2. So let's look at 2/4 again. You can tell if a fraction is equal to 1/2 if you are able to double your numerator and it equals your denominator. So what I mean by that is if you take our numerator, which is 2, and we're going to add that number to itself. So we'll do 2 plus 2. If that equals 4, which it does, that means this fraction is equal to 1/2, because that means 2 is half of 4. Let's look at this fraction. We have 4/8. If this fraction is equal to 1/2, I should be able to take 4 and add 4 to it and get 8. 4 plus 4 is 8, so that means that equals 1/2. And you can make fractions that are equal to 1/2 with any number. Let's take the number 3. If I wanted my numerator to be 3, if I wanted to make a fraction that's equal to 1/2, I just take 3 plus 3, and I'll get 6. 3/6 equal to 1/2. I could even take, let's do 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. 7/14 equals 1/2. So if you have two fractions, let's say you were comparing 3/6 and 7/14, they both equal 1/2. So these two fractions are actually equal to each other. Pretty cool, right? Now another way you can make equivalent fractions that aren't necessarily equal to 1 or 1/2 is by multiplying or dividing. So let's take 2/3 as an example. We're trying to figure out a fraction that is equivalent to 2/3. And the way you can do that is you can multiply or divide by any number, but it has to be, you have to do it to the numerator and the denominator, and it has to be the same number. So let's just pick a number. We'll do 5. I can find an equivalent fraction by multiplying 2 times 5 and 3 times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. So 2/3 is equivalent to 10/15. You can also do it by dividing. Let's take the fraction, we'll do 6/9. Let's divide by 3. 6 divided by 3, I can solve that by counting up by 3's until you hit 6. 3, 6. So that was 2. And 9 divided by 3. 3, 6, 9. 3. So 6/9 is equal to 2/3. Now let's take a look at a couple of the questions off of your worksheet today. You're given a fraction and you have to figure out what fraction could be equivalent to it, but you're already given one of the numbers. So one of the ways you can do this, if your number that you're given, so right here we were given 12, if it is bigger than the one from before, most times you can divide this to get what number you're multiplying by, and I'm going to explain that and show you right now. So we have the fraction 1/4, and we're trying to figure out how many 12ths is equal to that. So we're going to take 12 and divide by 4. So I'm going to have 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count up to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I get the answer of 3. So that means They took 4, did 4 times 3, and got 12. So to get our top number, we'll take 1 times 3. 1 times 3 is 3. So 1/4 is equal to 3/12. Another way you could have done this is to get your fraction strips out, put out 1/4, and then see how many 12ths it takes to be the exact same size. Our next one, we have 6/9 and some amount of thirds, and we have to figure out how to make those equivalent. In this case, this 9 is bigger than this number. So we're going to do 9 divided by 3, because you remember your big number always goes first in division. Let's see what we get. If we count up by 3's until we hit 9, 3, 6, 9. That took 3 jumps. So they divided 9 by 3 and got 3. So we need to divide 6 by 3. We'll go 1, 2, 3, count up to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our answer is 2. So 6/9 is equal to 2/3. And finally, we have 2/5 and some amount of tenths. In this case, our 10 is bigger, so we're going to take 10 and divide it by 5. 10 divided by 5, I'm going to count up by 5s until I hit 10. 5, 10, 2. So they did 5 times 2 and got 10. Fact family. So to get our numerator, we'll take 2 times 2, because remember you multiply it by the same number, and we'll get 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. So 2/5 is equal to 4/10. So you can do it like this, or you can get your fraction tiles out and just see which ones are equal to each other. Whatever strategy works best for you is whatever strategy you can use.